Hello, and welcome to the Master Model Railroader Modeling by the Minute. I'm Joel Priest, your host, and today you will learn about illuminating the rooms inside of your buildings to create a better railroad. So LED technology has really evolved in the past few years. Just to show you what I mean, this city scene has many different LED temperatures and many different LED sizes and shapes. Right here is a bright white color temperature large LED street light, and then next here is a warmer white LED lampshade, which is much smaller than the street light. It's about the size of the tip of this pencil. They also make circuits for LEDs. As seen in this room here, it looks like the family inside that room is watching television when it really is just a circuit of a certain colored LED just flashing and strobing every few minutes. Next, this room down below here is a much different color temperature than the room above. The room down below is more of an incandescent color, while the room above is more of like a bright white. Right here are some really bright light square LEDs. We use those to shine on signs, obviously. They are really bright and they're really cheap or inexpensive. Right here on this sign right here is another LED circuit, which is making the LED sign light look like it is burning out. They also make really cool city scene LED light circuits. Right here, this street light from Walthers changes from red to yellow to green, just like a normal traffic light would. And then they also make infrared detection grade crossing flashers. So when a car moves into a certain area and blocks the infrared, the lights come on. And then when the train or the car moves out of the scene, the light should turn off. Just like that. So this city scene really shows many of the different types and different color temperatures of LEDs that we have in the modern world today. For example, this depot right here has two different color temperatures. It has incandescent lights on the outside, or halogen lights, and on the inside they're fluorescent, which was really popular at this time in this railroad era. Once again, to repeat, the cool thing about having different color temperatures is if you want to make your railroad era seem more realistic, you can use different color temperatures of LEDs to fit the era. But more specifically in this video, I'm going to be teaching you how to create rooms with different LED temperatures and different sizes of LEDs. I'm just going to go through and show you all the different types of LEDs we use. So for the street lights, we use the Bush Lamp HO, and these come in white. This is the white version, and they also come in the sodium version, which is a little bit yellow. Next, we have the Cornerstone series by Walthers built-ups traffic lights. And along with that, we also have the cantilever crossing signal, which you saw in the city scene, as well as the traffic light. And these are just little square LEDs that you can buy on eBay. I'll show you a photo of a page off of eBay where you can buy them and what they're called, because right now I don't know what they're called. But they're really bright. You just have to solder on a resistor and you're off to making signs that are lit up. Yeah, we use these LEDs on signs, just like you saw in the city scene on the Radio Shack. Next, these are little LEDs on a platform here. These are the fluorescent kind. These are the ones that we found to work pretty well inside of depots and buildings, industries. So that's the fluorescent kind. This is the Richmond Controls lampshade. You can see there's a really fine wire with the lampshades in there that you just cut off with sprue cutters. These are really cool. I'll have to show you in another video on how this works. These are blue lights for like safety lights. They are really cool because you can attach them to a flashing circuit and attach them to a tortoise switch machine, so when you're aligned against the lead, that starts flashing, so you can use them in engine facilities. These are really, really tiny LEDs, as you can see, or maybe you can't see, but they're really, really tiny LEDs. And you can use these in really tight spaces, like small little rooms that you want to put in buildings, and they're fairly bright for its size, which is pretty incredible. Here is the TV LED that I showed you in this city. You have to buy a circuit separately. I do not know who it is from. I'll have to get back with you on that. But these are really cool. And here's just another type of LED that we use on the railroad. It's a bright white, and sometimes we also use these on locomotive headlights. So that ends the showcase of the LEDs that we use on the railroad. So I'm going to show you how to create a room like this. Now it's not going to be exactly like this, but there is going to be some people in it, some furniture. There's not going to be a TV LED in that, unfortunately, but there is going to be an LED mounted from the top to make your room lit up. So I'm going to start with the supplies that you need. You need some sort of ACC glue or crinoacrylite glue, whatever you call it, super glue, and then some super glue accelerator to accelerate the drying process of the super glue. You're going to need a decent LED, just a simple one like this with a bridge rectifier and some cables or wires sticking out of it. Then it's your choice. If you have an HO scale layout and you have some spare boxes of anything around this size, you can use this box to create a room. As you can see, this is pretty much the same kind of box that I've used. You're going to need an airbrush booth, definitely, because you're going to spray the inside with like a reflective material or whatever paint that you want to make the inside of your room. Then you're going to have to spray the outside with black so the light doesn't shine through the box. And you can also use black Formica or like a thin plastic, or maybe even like a paper, thin paper, or like construction paper or something like that to create your own box. I'm going to show you how to do that right now. So first, you need a ruler and an X-Acto blade. Start by cutting down about a couple inches on each side. And then from those cuts, you want to cut at a 90-degree angle opposite. And then I'm going to do the same on the other end. What we're doing right now is we're cutting out a flat form, or like a skeleton of a box. And to remind you, it doesn't really have to be perfect, but you can make it perfect if you want. I'm not really doing that. Then you just tear out the pieces. This is kind of like a paper that I'm using here, paper material. Just tear out the pieces that you cut, little squares. Maybe. You might have to cut it again, depending on how sharp your X-Acto blade is. There we go. You can also use scissors. And as I said before, this doesn't really have to be perfect, because as soon as you get the basic forms of the box, you can later, make it perfect. Just cutting it out early, you don't really need to make it perfect. So right here you have basic flat out form of a box. So now you start to fold in all your corners, if that makes sense. Fold it in towards the center. Then you begin to see the box come to shape. So there you have your basic box, and this part's going to go towards the window. So what you want to do is make sure that all of the walls that are going to come towards the window are going to be even, so you don't have any thing sticking out. Trim it a little bit more. There's your box that you can make out of a plastic or a paper kind of style. And then you can glue it together and airbrush it on the inside, and then you can either use a Dremel to drill on the top, or you can just take an X-Acto knife or a hole punch or anything that would fit the light to go inside, just like that. You only need the light to come in, not the bridge rectifier or anything. And that's how you make a box for lighting your interior rooms on buildings. And now I'm going to show you how to make a box out of like a N-scale box, or just any box that you can use for buildings. So now I'm going to spray the building, or the building room, with the inside reflective paint called graphite. I use True Color paint because it's the next best thing is Flocal, in my opinion, which is now out of business. But I'm going to use graphite, reflective graphite paint, and then I'm going to use a flat black on the outside of the room to just spray it over to make sure that there's no light leaking out of the room. So here we go. Okay, so now I have painted the room. I'm going to now make a little scene inside of the room. But first, you want to drill a hole in the top for the light, because after you've put your scene in, you're gonna have to be really delicate when you're drilling. But before the scene, it doesn't really matter. So I'm going to use my Dremel with the bit that is the same size as the LED top. So now that I have drilled my hole, I'm going to scrape away the excess melted plastic, and now I'm going to put the LED in, use the ACC and accelerator, just put a little bit of dabs around the side. Doesn't really matter how much you use. Use the aerosol accelerator, and then let that dry a bit. And most of you guys, or most of you people, would take the glue and just start putting dabs on there, and sometimes you'll put a little bit too much. So what I like to do is I like to get tweezers and make a little puddle of accelerator. Just grab the table, just gently dip it so it gets an even amount of glue on all of the table's legs, and just set it inside just like that. And spray with the accelerator. Now I'm going to attach the people to the chairs. For this you might not need tweezers. Spray that. And the scene I'm creating is some people eating around a dinner table. So again, just dip it and stick it. Just like that. Next, same thing. And so there you go. That's pretty much all it takes to make a little scene. Now you could put some pictures in the background. Maybe you could set a refrigerator back there or a stove. But this is pretty much what I'm going to do, because when you're looking through an HO scale building, the windows are pretty small and you don't really have that much to see. So you really just want to have something in the foreground, and that's pretty much all it takes. So hopefully now, after watching this video, you know how to create a room and install a lighted room with a scene in it into your buildings. I hope to see you in the next video.